Hello, scrappy friends. It's Cheryl here. I am getting started on December daily for this year. Hopefully, a lot of you are either started or maybe you're having great progress and you're already working ahead and got lots of photos in. Wherever you are at, I wanted to just share this part of the process for me. And I'm just doing some of the foundation pages. I did speed this video up quite a bit because I filmed, I don't know, it must have been, I had more than an hour, hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, something crazy. And I don't think you'd want to see me flip through embellishments and cards and trim papers for an hour and 40 minutes. It's not quite that exciting. And the background chatter, was interesting when I was working here yesterday. And I don't think I could do a voiceover for an hour and 40 minutes. So here we are. So the collection that I'm using is the Studio Tech Direct Very Much Merry holiday collection. It's so fun. The colors are great. There's some red, there's some green, but there's also some pink, some blue. It's just a fun collection. And because COVID is stupid and shipping right now is stupid, because I'm on the design team, I have digital files of the collection, which is great because shipping them from Poland right now would have just been a pain for everyone involved. So the great thing there is that I've been able to print the cards at different sizes. You'll see I have some that are not quite 3x5, some that are 4x6. I printed some really, really small. And you'll see as we go that I wanted to be able to use some of those small cards in 3x5 pockets, but with I wanted to be able to layer lots of other patterns behind them. So right now I'm just trimming some of the things that I had printed. I just experimented with printing things in different sizes. These are the small ones I was talking about. And all I did, honestly, I didn't do anything crazy with these. I just opened them up in Preview, which is the default PDF viewer if you're on a Mac. And then I selected the ones I wanted to print. And when the print dialog box comes up, you can just choose how many items you want per page. And so I just, did a few different variations there to see what sizes and what way I wanted to print them. Some of the other cards that I flipped through are the Cocoa Vanilla Merry and Bright collection. I like the colors there. I think they'll coordinate really well with Very Much Merry. There's also some pink. There's also lots of red, obviously. Some lighter green, some blue. So I think those two options will work well together. Some of the puffy stickers and alphas that I added to this little stash are from Rosie's Studio. So I will link everything I can for you below. And actually, I will link everything in the blog post. That tends to be an easier place to put lots of links. So I'll leave the blog post link below, and you can head over there. And you can read some more about what I wanted to do and what I'm working on for this album. The album that I'll be working in is a Simple Stories 6x8 snap flip book. And so if you've ever seen any of my December dailies, they do all tend to be quite large. So I've already added 2 extra packages of page protectors to this flip book. And it might be quite expensive by the end of December, but we'll see. These are the labels from the Very Much Merry collection. I love that all the Studio Tech Direct collections come with labels. Who doesn't love labels? And you can never have too many. So what I was doing yesterday is trying to get myself organized, really. I'm flipping through some of the cards I have there right now, having a look at some of the smaller cards, and just trying to get myself organized in terms of what supplies I have, what I want to use, how I want to use things, and just making sure that everything I need for December daily is laid out in a way on my scrapbook table that I can come in day to day, print a photo, put it in a pocket, and then kind of write some details down and move along. And I don't know if you've read any of my past posts about December daily, but I tend to, for the day-to-day things, print the photo, write down the story, put some paper together, and put it in the album. And then I go back probably at the end of the month when things are a little less busy. Oh, pardon me for yawning. Oh my gosh. It is Saturday. It's quite a lazy day around here. So, as I was saying, I go back at the end of the month or when I'm sort of done 99% of the album, and that's when I'll add embellishments. And that just allows me to get the stories and photos in a little bit quicker day to day during the month. And then I also feel like it eases that fear of, what if I run out of embellishments before I'm done? I know that's silly, but honestly, don't tell me you've never thought that. I know you have. So right now what I'm looking at is one of the Studio Tech Direct patterns that I want to use. And actually these two black and white patterns are from a past holiday collection. So you can see here just how well some of the other Studio Tech Direct collections will coordinate with Very Much Mary. And I'm finding that with all of her collections, they all work together so well. It doesn't matter if it's the new one, the new Very Much Mary, or the summer collection Strawberry Shake, or collections from years ago. They just all work together. So what I decided to do with the full pages in this album is to cut the patterns that I wanted to use a little bit smaller and back them all with black, because I knew I would be using so much color in this album. I thought, it won't hurt to add, to ground some of them. So yeah, so I've cut the black to 6x8. It might be a tad bit bigger, as you may or may not have noticed. I don't measure. Maybe one of these days I will, but I doubt it. I'm lying. I just won't measure. And of course, this is a perfect time for my adhesive gun to run out. So we have a slight pause while I go and refill that guy. Yeah, so for each of these full pages, I wanted to just choose 2 patterns to have on either side. And these pages might end up being, might be home for a full-size photo, depending on what happens on the day. But I don't want to feel like I have to have a full-size photo for each one of the days where there is a full 6x8 page, if that makes sense. So I'm just building in options, and I'm using some black and white patterns there. You can see up in the corner that I had thought about using this pattern for something else, and there's a bit of paper that's ripped, but that will easily get covered. I am not worried about it. So what I decided to do is just go through and do all of these full pages first, and cut the black pieces. Of course, like I said, because I don't always measure, I have to test every black piece and see that it fits in. I sort of measure. I know that they need to be 6x8. I just, feel that measuring gets in the way of my efficiency, which is a huge lie. What it actually gets in the way of is me just wanting to finish things and just keep going. If I have to stop and measure something, then I just feel like I'm going to lose an idea. I don't know. I love that the blue pattern in this collection, the one that is on the other side right now. I'm adding the red paper right now, but I really enjoy the blue pattern too. And I think it's so fun that some of the patterns in Very Much Mary are not full of snow, and I mean, they're very Christmassy and they're very holiday collections. It's lovely. But I think it's great that, the one you can see poking out on the bottom right corner there has some leaves and acorns and other things that are slightly fallish, but also winterish. Not everyone lives in a place where there's going to be 8 feet of snow at Christmas time. So I just like the variety in this collection. Right now, you wouldn't look out my window and think that I would be working on a December album. It's probably 10 degrees, 11 degrees. That's Celsius, by the way. So it's nice and warm outside, and the snow is melting. And so, why not have some patterns that offer some variety? The pink pattern I just put in there with a variety of red and different shades of pink trees is super cute. I'm really happy to have been able to use that one as a full size. And the other thing that was really interesting that I completely hadn't thought of in the way that I was printing these digital patterns is because I was just doing it so simply and using, like I said, the printer settings to say print this many pages per sheet or this many pages per sheet, depending on whether it was the paper, the cards, or other things. What I ended up having is a variety of scales of patterns, or scales of these prints, which is a lot of fun actually. And that will be mixed throughout the album. Right here you can see I was going through some of the scraps that I have. Again, these black and whites are from an older holiday collection. I'll make a note of which one that is. And I was just trying to see what I wanted to add to the back of this piece, because I didn't have another full sheet that I wanted to cut into for this. I was saving that pink one on the side there that I mentioned earlier. So I sort of auditioned a few and then decided that for now I could just, I know I promised last time I filmed I wouldn't have my head in the way. I had to rearrange my filming setup just a bit yesterday because it was so nice outside and I wanted to have all the windows open and have some natural light in here, but of course that led to some funky shadows, and so I did some rearranging and then totally forgot where my head is. We'll get used to it. I was going to say such is life, and my friend Liz who is lovely and doesn't scrapbook at all, but somehow still watches any video that I post. It's so kind of her. She pointed out to me how often I say that, and I actually didn't realize. So now I'm sure anytime I watch a video of myself scrapbooking, or if I watch a video back, I'll probably count dozens of times that I say that. I'm going to be conscious of it now, which is quite funny. So here's the pink pattern I was telling you about. It's just fun. I just love it. It has great colors in it. It just makes me happy. That pattern makes me happy. So I decided to leave the back of that one black because like I said, I was hoping to ground all of the color a little bit with some accents of black, and there'll be a lot of places where I use white mats too. I'm not just going to use black because the album itself is black, so I'm not going to overload everything with black. That would hardly be a Cheryl thing to do. Now, of course, I have to rearrange. I don't have to, but I decided that I should. I'm curious to know if anyone else does this. If you're doing foundation pages and you're flipping through and you notice that, oh, I wanted to use a variety of colors, but right here I have this red pattern next to that red pattern. Do you actually take them out and move them around like I just did? That's the reason I was moving some of those pages. I wanted to put the pattern with the blue and the red in between some patterns that had predominantly red. Is that nitpicking? Do you do things like that? I feel like that's the bonus of doing foundation pages, is that you can make those decisions and kind of rearrange things, and it's a little less stress than rearranging something when you have more parts of the album complete. But maybe I'm slightly neurotic that way. Who am I kidding with the maybe part? So now I'm just going through some of the 4 pocket pages, and right there you can see that Peace and Joy card. That's one of the ones that I printed quite small because I wanted to be able to layer it onto something else. So I've chosen a 3x5 card from the Crate Paper collection that I might layer it on top of. I auditioned a few and then couldn't quite decide. So these foundation pages for me, like I said, are just a way to have some of the process started so that day to day, when I come in to work on whatever day it might happen to be, I can look at whatever foundation page I'm working with, whatever size photos are there for that day. Of course, I can rearrange if need be. I'm not worried about the particular order of these pages in the album being set in stone, but generally I'll just come in and say, okay, so this particular day has 4 pockets. Do I have 4 photos, or do I just want to use 2 photos and then fill 2 pockets, and then I'll kind of print and go from there. And this just makes the process a little less labor intensive during the month of December when things are busy. This December card and the black and white card with the trees, again, are from the older holiday collection. And I'm cutting some of these small tags that were part of the Very Much Merry cut apart page. And I'm going to use those. Those will get backed onto a black and white card. That's a perfect thing to kind of ground some of the colors in there. Gosh, I'm saying the same things over and over today. This color blocked card is really fun too. It has a lot of the colors from the Very Much Merry papers, and so I think I intended, I was just going to say, I meant for that one to be facing the opposite way. So you can see, so this just sort of reminds me when I was putting the album together, which way I thought I would have photos facing, which way I thought I'd have the cards facing. I hope that makes sense. Because right now, obviously, we're looking at the back of a card that I printed. So when that page is facing you, that pocket would have a photo. That sounds quite logical in my mind. It may or may not when you're watching this back. So what I've done with some of these 4x6 pockets is just, again, added some layers. I wanted to use a variety of things. I wanted to play around with different patterns and prints from some of the collections. I wanted to use just more than one card in some of the pockets. And so that poor bear just had a slight rearrangement to his shape. And then I used him to back this card that said December. And the white stars are I think I'm going to add another pattern to the white stars, or do I choose a different one entirely? Oh, I chose a different black and white one entirely. Well, that works too. You'd think I filmed this a long time ago. It was just yesterday. I should not be forgetting what I did. But again, it's 2020. We don't use the word should anymore. There are no shoulds. Nobody knows what's happening. So we just go with things. Auditioning a few more cards, filling in a few more spots, And the one thing I did as I was going through here, we might see this in just a minute or two when I get towards the end of some of these foundation pages, is I just looked at some of the scraps I had from the digital pages I had printed and just tucked a piece of them into some of those pockets so that I could remember which pattern I wanted to print again and fill into that pocket. And I did come back and do that yesterday at the end of the day. But again, I had filmed this for so long, I didn't want it to be a 2-hour long video. So I will just add in a few photos at the end and you can see some of these 4x6s where I've layered a few patterns, and you can see some of those pages where I have just printed the ones that I wanted to add in. At this point in December, I'm just happy to have a starting point in the album, to have, to make some notes about which things I'd like to add where. Yeah, so right here, that's exactly what I did. I just tucked in a scrap of that red pattern to remind me that that was the piece I wanted to print, and then if I hadn't gotten back to that yesterday, not a big deal. When I got to that day, I would have remembered, oh yeah, I wanted to add the red pattern here. I can easily print it and pop it in. So, I'm all about whatever makes December daily work for you, and whatever way you want to do it. Whatever makes it possible and less intense and less stressful for you to document the whole month. And I go all the way to December 31st. I know a lot of people stop at Christmas Day. And again, whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat. I like to take it to New Year's Eve because that tends to be one time where I can get some photos of the 4 of us as a family once in a while. So it's fun to end off the album with those. Lots of times I cheat and spend the day of New Year's Eve finishing the entire album. So here are a few still photos for you to check out, and I'll have more details on the blog. Thanks for watching.